Hi, we're Nick and Tyler, and we live in a van.
I'm living in our van for 2.5 months now, and we still haven't given a van tour, even though Nick and I have been telling each other that we will do a van tour every week at least. So here we are finally doing it. We are currently at Monument Lake Campground in Florida, in South Florida, and it's been beautiful. And this is a perfect time to give you a little bit of a tour of our van. This is a 2015 Mercedes Sprinter van. It's technically a Freightliner before they deemed it as Mercedes. So on the inside, on the steering wheel, it says Freightliner, but on the front of the van, it says Mercedes. So we'll take you in. This was a retired rental camper van. We loved the build out. This is one of our favorite build outs. We did a lot of research before finalizing which van we wanted, and this is what we came up with.
So welcome to our van. I just want to preface before we start getting into stuff, we do actively live in this. So the carpet may be a little bit dirty, the countertops may be like a little bit dirty. We have cleaned it, but we do live in this and we cook in this pretty much every day. So bear that in mind. If there's anything you're like, oh my gosh, they don't clean. We do, we just live in it. So first things first, we have a 2-burner stove here. It's connected to our little propane tank behind the seat. Nice and concealed and isolated so nobody can really see it. Just sits behind the driver's seat. And then up top we just have all of these different compartments. We don't really have any like organizational things, like it's not specified. It's just kind of like extra stuff that we need for like cooking, pots and pans, different recipes, different containers if we have leftovers. If we do have any leftovers, we do have this fridge that's stowed away right here. So you can kind of see into the fridge. We have this bigger section and we have a smaller section for produce or fruits or whatever, anything like that. We have our little sink here with our little water pump. We flip this pump on and then the sink will turn on and run the water from a tank that we have under this little sink container. So we've got our little water tank here that we can pull out and fill up when we need to. We have this little trash can that we pull out and change the bags or whatever when we're cooking. Some extra stuff that we need for the van, extra propane tank, some rags for the windows and all that kind of stuff. You'll notice on this window we don't have any curtains on it because generally when we're in a place like this, like Monument Lake, it's gorgeous and so we want to be able to see out of the windows. But at night we'll put up these blackout curtains, which blacks out the van really nicely, so you can't see into the van. You also cannot see out, so it provides us a little bit of privacy. This is where we keep all of our laptops and kind of like electronic accessories, just kind of nice out of the way, with a little spot here. We have a couple little additional things here. We didn't know that this van came with a diesel heater because we weren't exactly sure how to use it, so we bought a little heater. We have a little vacuum, shout out to Karen, Tyler's aunt. But we do have a little diesel heater right under the passenger seat, and so that diesel heater is connected to the fuel tank. So when we need to turn it on, we'll use this guy here, which is a little touch screen. And then if we need to turn on the heater, this is how we control the temperature and control the fan and all of that good stuff. We have tons of different storage. Also under the stove, we have all of our silverware. We also have this little latch here. A lot of people, and one of the questions that we had when we were looking for vans is how we keep the drawers closed. We thought of magnets and stuff, but these are actually sailboat hooks. So when they close in, they have a soft close and then it just latches in. So if I need to pull, they won't slide open while we drive or when we turn. We have just these other little compartments here for different cooking utensils, pots and pans and blenders and all that kind of stuff. And so then back here, we have our little swivel table.
That can be taken off, but we usually just leave
it on. And then under here we have more storage. This is where we keep our portable toilet if we ever need to like use the bathroom. A lot of the places that we stay at, most of them have bathrooms. Like this campsite has bathrooms, so we just use those. But some of the places that we stay at through Harvest Host, they don't have bathrooms, so that's kind of our emergency toilet. And then when we go to a campsite, they have vault toilets and stuff, and we'll dump it in there. This is just kind of our extra clothes too. We have like summer clothes and some of our heavier coats for when it gets cold. Under here we have a little bit of shoe storage. This is generally where we keep basically just shoes that we're not wearing. One of my favorite features in the van is our cute little pantry. So it just pulls out here and we have tons of storage. So we lived in a studio apartment in Salt Lake, and without like downsizing too much of our food, all of our food from that pantry fit in this. So we actually have the same, if not more, storage in this van than we did in our studio apartment in Salt Lake, which is pretty cool. So that was something that was a huge bonus for us that we really liked. Up here we have this is where we keep our clothes. Not much to say there. It's our basically little closet, little mirror in here. We have access to our garage through this little door. This is where we keep our laundry. We keep our gym bags in here, so when we need to go to the gym, we'll usually go, and that's where we shower as well. So we just load all of our stuff, shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, razor, like all that kind of stuff in that bag. We'll go and work out, and then we'll go shower, and then we'll come back, and then it all just goes back in that little cabinet. Another one of my favorite features for this van is, because I'm kind of tall, we have this extendable kick-out bench, and so my feet don't hang off. The bed is like pretty good size, but when we have this full thing out, we can both sleep really comfortably. There's tons of room. It's really comfortable. We have a little fan up top, so if it gets too hot, we can open it up and it adds a little bit more airflow, which is really nice. And then just above the bed, I don't know if you can see that, but above the bed we just have those two cabinets, which is basically just like your vanities, just like extra stuff, toothbrush, toothpaste. Like we have just bathroom stuff in there, so nothing too crazy. Also underneath there are two like charging ports, so we can plug in our two USB outlets, so we can plug in our phones when we go to sleep, so we don't have to put our phones over here and plug them in, but we can keep them right next to us, and then when we need them in the morning, they're just right there next to us. Okay, you ready? Last thing in the van that we don't get into hardly ever, just because it's kind of an emergency spot, but under this bench is where we have, this is where we keep all of our emergency supplies. So if we have 72-hour kits, we have like a jumper box, we have cones and fire extinguishers, all that stuff is kind of like in there. So it's hidden, but it's easily accessible, which is really nice.
So one of the nice things about this van is that it is a 2015, but they also upgraded a lot of the stuff. So the sound system is upgraded, and everything is touchscreen. So all of that, when we actually have the van on, it's touchscreen. Another really convenient thing is that this flips around. So a lot of the times, Nick and I will be sitting on opposite ends of the van just because we're together all the time. Sometimes you need a little bit of space. So Nick will just flip this around and we'll just be talking. It's very convenient, very nice. When we are heading to bed and getting ready to kind of go down for the night, we put this up just so that less people can see. And then we also close this. It doesn't fully block out like every piece of light, but it does help a lot. So we're a lot more incognito. We typically try and stay at places that it's like okay for us to stay, obviously. So we have a Harvest Host membership, and then we also stay at a lot of campsites. So we don't, like, people know that we're like staying in here, but it's still nice just in case. A little bit more privacy, a little bit more incognito. Okay, so this is the back area. This is our garage. One of my favorite features of this is these doors. Something that we looked into is that some vans will open all the way up and some won't. This is one of the vans that do open all the way, so all you do is just pull this out, pull it to the side, and it's like we're laying up here at like a beautiful spot. Dreamy, magical.
So nice.
So nice. Yeah, you can do that with both doors. This is the garage. This is our shower. So like Nick said, we typically use the gym. So we have a Planet Fitness membership that we use. However, this is an outdoor shower if we need to. This is also a heater, so it can be warm. This tank is, I believe it's an 18-gallon tank. So right now it's empty just because we don't almost ever use it, and so we just don't want to carry the weight and have worse gas mileage. But if we ever needed to, we can shower from here. So if we're like on BLM land, we're going to be there for a while, we'd fill that up and we'd probably shower once or so. It's super spacious, if you can tell. This is everything that we own is in our van. So we have an extra water tank for the front so that when we're doing stuff, we're about to do an oil change. So that's why we have this. Nick has his bike. If we want to get to any like fuses or different things, it's all back there. All of our electrical stuff is back into that section, into that corner. Everything's labeled super great, which is really nice. We have this pegboard, which came with the van. They gave us a mat and these chairs, which is really convenient. And I don't know if you can see all the way back there, but that's our laundry bag, kind of what we were mentioning before right there. And this whole section, it can fit a full-size surfboard all the way to the edge back there. So if we were into surfing, didn't have everything that we own in this van, we would be able to like fit a surfboard in it. Super spacious, super nice. Like I mentioned before, this is a retired rental. So we found this company and we fell in love with this build. As you can see, it's very thought out. It's very easy for us to live in it. And we loved the fact that the bed was built in and there was enough garage space that we weren't going to have to try and figure out where we were going to put all the stuff that we owned. And so we found this. However, they were really expensive. If you've ever looked for a van, you know that they're not cheap. But since this was a retired rental, it had about 100,000 miles on it when we bought it, and it was almost half the price. So, you know, some things
Pros and
are
cons
better
there.
than others. So it was worth it for us. And this is our van.
So everything, hopefully you can hear me, but everything that we have in the van we realized that we didn't talk about, but when it comes to the powering stuff, we run completely off of solar, so we don't have any sort of like backup batteries or generators or anything like that. It's all completely solar stuff, and I'll show you what that looks like up top. So we have this ginormous solar panel up here that charges our batteries as we drive, and then if we're just sitting here on the campsite like we are, and then the way that we control it or we check our progress is inside the van.
So right here is where we control the lights. This is where our inverter is. And right here is where we check to see how much we've got going on. Hopefully you can see that. So it basically is either a happy face or a sad face telling us how we're doing. Right now the sun's out and so our solar is charging up. If you just click like this, it also lights up so you can check everything. There's also, this is where we plug in Starlink, click on the inverter. We can also charge our phones from here. So there's tons and tons of spots for us to charge things. Our lights, we have a dimmer. So at night, if we want to conserve battery, we just keep it a little bit more dim. Plus people are less likely to see us, which is really nice.
Okay, so this is just really some like gadgets and gizmos that we have for the van that's kind of fun. So we have this huge light board here, so we have our low beams, we have our daytime running lamps, our low beams, our high beams, and then we have our ultra high beams. So if we're ever driving down a dark road or in a campsite that's really, really dark, when we like show up, we can turn that bad boy on and it lights up basically the whole world. The other thing about this windshield cover is that it's a heat shield as well. So if it's really hot, it keeps a lot of the heat from the sun out. So even if we're at the gym, we'll put it up just so the van doesn't overheat. The other thing that we wanted to talk about, because we'll probably get a lot of questions about it, but we did a video on this earlier, is our van didn't come with a gray water tank. So a lot of you might have been thinking, like, where does the water go after we do dishes or like cook or anything like that? We have a gray water tank under the van that we put in. And so all of the water from the sink when we do dishes or when we do stuff like that goes right down into that tank. And then we have this little drain nozzle that we installed that will just drain out. So this becomes basically just our tank to hold all of our junk. And then when we need to drain it, we'll drive to a dump station and drain it and start all over again.